I still remember the sound of the chair scraping the floor before I even realized it was meant for me. Not an accident, not clumsy, deliberate. I looked up and saw the man standing there, mid-40s, expensive suit that didn't quite fit right, confidence borrowed rather than earned. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. He just tilted his head toward the exit and said flat and final, "You're going to have to leave. This area is reserved." For a second, I honestly thought he was joking. I glanced around. Linen tablecloths, low music, people pretending very hard not to look at me. Then I looked back at him and said calmly, "Reserved for who?" He smiled, the kind of smile people use when they believe they're untouchable. People who belong here. That's when it hit me. This wasn't about a reservation. This was about how I looked and how little they thought I was worth. I didn't argue. I didn't pull out my phone. I didn't say my name. I just sat there, hands folded, heart steady, watching the room decide who I was without knowing a damn thing about me. They saw a man in plain clothes, no watch flashing, no assistant hovering, no urgency. To them, I was background noise that wandered into the wrong frame. What they didn't see were the years, the deals signed in silence, the nights where the only light in a building was my office because failure wasn't an option. The moments where I learned that real power doesn't announce itself, it waits. The man cleared his throat, impatient now. "Sir, I don't want to escalate this." That word escalate almost made me laugh. I'd been in rooms where one wrong sentence cost people their companies. I'd watched men with titles beg for extensions, like it was oxygen. But here in this room I was being reduced to a problem to be removed. I stood up slowly, not because he told me to, but because I wanted to feel the moment fully. Around us, people stared into glasses, menus, phones. Silence does that. It makes cowards comfortable. "You don't have to make a scene," he added, voice lowering as if he were doing me a favor. I leaned in slightly and said, "Funny." I was thinking the same thing. That confused him. People like that rely on predictability, shame, anger, compliance. Calm throws them off. I didn't leave. I moved to a seat near the edge of the room and waited. That's when things got interesting. Service slowed, glances sharpened, rules started appearing out of thin air. "Oh, that table's unavailable. We're actually closing that section. You'll need to wait." Wait for what no one could explain. I watched how easily authority turned lazy, how comfortable people became once they thought someone was beneath them. And I realized something that still bothers me to this day. If this was how they treated me, imagine how many others never had the option to stay calm. Then it happened. A conversation at this next table drifted just close enough. Numbers. A deal. A decision that required approval that hadn't come yet. One of the men laughed nervously and said, "We're just waiting on the final green light from the holding group." I took a sip of water and said casually, almost to myself, "That won't be happening." They turned. All of them. The man who'd tried to throw me out frowned. "Excuse me?" I met his eyes. No anger, no pride, just certainty. "That expansion you're counting on?" I continued. "The funding structure doesn't clear compliance. It dies in review." Silence. Someone pulled out a phone. Someone else swallowed hard. "That's not public information," one of them said. I shrugged. "It won't be much longer." The man's confidence cracked, just a hairline fracture, but enough. "Who are you?" he asked. I didn't answer. I didn't need to. A phone buzzed. Then another. A name appeared on a screen, my name connected to a portfolio none of them expected to see, attached to the man they'd just dismissed. The room shifted. You can feel it when power moves. It's like air pressure changing before a storm. Conversation stopped. Eyes recalibrated. Respect rushed in, too late, tripping over itself. I didn't realize," the man stammered. I smiled then, not kindly, not cruelly, honestly. "That I said seems to be a pattern." Apologies followed. Fast ones, sloppy ones, the kind people use to protect themselves, not to make things right. I didn't accept them. I didn't reject them either. I simply said what would happen next, professionally, quietly, and watched the weight of it settle. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't threaten. I didn't need to, because the real consequence wasn't what I could do to them. It was what they now knew about themselves. I walked out moments later. No escort, no drama. Just the sound of the door closing behind me, soft and definitive. Outside, the air felt lighter, cleaner. I stood there for a second, letting it pass through me. The anger I hadn't shown, the dignity. I refused to surrender the familiar truth I'd learned long ago. Money doesn't change how people treat you. It reveals how they already treat those they think can't fight back. I drove home in silence, thinking about how many moments like this never end with balance. How many people swallow injustice because they're told to be grateful for the scraps. I didn't feel victorious. I felt responsible. Because walking away with your dignity intact is one thing. Leaving a system untouched is another. That night I slept well. Not because I'd won, but because I hadn't become the thing I despised. And I keep thinking about that man, the look on his face when the story he'd written about me collapsed. Not fear, not anger, recognition. So I'll ask you this, and I want you to really think about it before you answer. Do you believe money actually changes how people see you? Or does it just expose who they've been all along? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read every one.